In the upscale Greenwich neighborhood shrouded in morning mist, Mary Wilson was preparing breakfast in her white mansion along a maple-lined street. Her light brown hair was casually tied back, and she wore a white apron. Her efficient movements reflected her meticulousness as a pediatrician. "James, I made an omelet this morning. I added a touch of truffle salt to it." Drawn by the savory aroma wafting from the kitchen, James looked up from his newspaper. A gentle smile appeared behind his black-rimmed intellectual glasses. Even on holidays, his impeccably pressed shirt conveyed his pride as a cardiac surgeon. "Your omelets are the best. Always cooked to perfection." They had been together since medical school, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses intimately. Now they worked at the same hospital, she as a pediatrician and he as a cardiac surgeon. They were highly trusted by their patients and envied by others as an ideal medical couple. The dishes on the dining table were Wedgwood, a wedding gift from James's mother, Eleanor. Their elegant presence seemed to symbolize the household's refined lifestyle. Eleanor's commitment to maintaining standards befitting the house was evident even in her choice of dinnerware. "We're having lunch with Mother this weekend, right?" Mary confirmed, and James nodded without hesitation. "Yes, she's looking forward to it. Though she's been busy writing papers lately, she always makes time for us." His words revealed a deep trust in and dependence on his mother. Eleanor, a former professor of English literature, continued her research activities vigorously even after retirement. Her intellectual air and graceful demeanor commanded respect from those around her. Her appearance, coordinated with luxury brands, and precise choice of words spoke of her deep cultivation. Yet, in Mary's heart, a slight uneasiness remained. The weekend lunch. As always, Eleanor had chosen the most prestigious French restaurant in town. In a private room bathed in chandelier light, she immediately began talking about the family lineage. "The Wilsons have always pursued intellectual professions. My father, my grandfather, all of them left remarkable achievements. James has inherited that blood," Eleanor continued, elegantly tilting her thin wine glass. "Education and dignity are our pride." Mary nodded silently, unconsciously gripping her napkin. There was always something lurking behind Eleanor's words. Sometimes she couldn't shake the feeling that even compliments contained subtle criticism. "Mary, I hear you've been receiving fertility treatments recently." Caught off guard by the sudden topic, Mary drew in a sharp breath. Where had Eleanor heard the hospital gossip? "Yes, for about 2 years now." "I see." Eleanor took a sip of tea, the gesture full of refinement. "Don't get your hopes up too high. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment." James looked at his mother. "Mom, we're trying our best." "Yes, of course." However, Eleanor gave a meaningful smile. "Not everything goes as planned. In life, there are things we must accept." The weight of those words lingered over the table throughout the meal. On the way home, Mary watched her husband's profile. Eleanor's words always left a deep impression on James. Was it motherly love, or control? Sometimes that line seemed far too blurry. The following week, during a routine hospital checkup, the numbers were gradually improving. Mary's body was steadily preparing for another attempt at in vitro fertilization. The attending physician delivered the results with a bright expression. "If things continue this way, we might hear some good news. Your condition is quite ideal, Dr. Wilson." Mary's eyes sparkled at those words. A ray of hope finally visible after long days of treatment. After returning home, she took out the pregnancy test she had secretly purchased. Her heart was racing. How long had she waited for this moment? After several minutes, 2 lines appeared clearly. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Finally conceived. A precious life. Mary held the test with both hands as if cradling it. Tonight, she would tell James. She would prepare a special dinner and share this joy. Surely he would be delighted too. That's what she believed. As dusk approached the streets of Greenwich, Mary Wilson carried several grocery bags in her hands. Tonight was special. She had planned a menu of her husband's favorites for this important announcement. Her steps toward the entrance were light. In Mary's handbag, the morning's pregnancy test was carefully stored. The 2 lines indicating a positive result remained clear and distinct even in the afternoon. "Welcome home, Mary." At the voice from the living room, Mary almost dropped her grocery bags. Eleanor sat there with her usual refined smile. Dressed in a Chanel tweed suit, she looked like a queen in her office. "Eleanor. I wasn't expecting you today." "Yes, I apologize for coming unannounced. But I have something important to discuss." Eleanor elegantly raised her cup. "I took the liberty of making tea myself. The tea in your kitchen is quite good." Mary was at a loss for words. Who was the true master of this house? Eleanor's manner carried such authority that it even raised such questions. "James isn't home yet." "No, he'll be back soon. I contacted him. It had been planned." Mary instinctively realized everything had been calculated. As she was about to set down her shopping bags, the sound of the front door opening echoed. "I'm home," James's voice could be heard. "Mother, what's wrong? You called so suddenly." "James, welcome home." Eleanor stood up. "I have something important to tell you." Mary watched her husband's expression. James was so preoccupied with his mother's presence that he hadn't noticed his wife's unusual tension. I have something to tell you too," Mary forced out her voice. "I was hoping to make today special." "Mary, would you let me speak first?" Eleanor interrupted. "This is very important." The living room air froze. Mary touched the pregnancy test in her handbag. Its warmth was her only support right now. "James, it's time you knew," Eleanor began. "About our family's secret." "Mother. I've kept this hidden for many years. But now is the time I must speak." Eleanor's voice trembled. It was a perfect performance. The Wilson family has a certain destiny. An ominous feeling ran through Mary's chest. Just as I was, many men in the Wilson family are unable to have children. "What are you saying?" James showed a confused expression. "I too was infertile. It's genetic. I consulted many specialists, but the conclusion was always the same." Eleanor moved closer to her son. Having you with your father was a miracle. But mother, At that moment, Mary made a decision. With trembling hands, she took out the pregnancy test from her bag. We've been blessed with a baby. A moment of silence. What followed unfolded like a nightmare. James, I'm telling you this as your mother, Eleanor's voice rang out coldly. You cannot father children. Mother. James's face turned pale. It's absolutely impossible for this person's child to be yours. Eleanor's eyes glinted sharply. Think about it. Look at your treatment history. James's expression began to change. Confusion, doubt, and then, anger. That's a lie, he shouted. Get rid of it since it's not my child. The pregnancy test flew through the air. Struck down by James's hand, it crashed miserably to the floor. James, that's not true, Mary's voice cracked. It's our child. Please believe. But her words didn't reach her husband's ears. Eleanor's words had already taken deep control of his heart. I'm leaving, James declared. I'll come back for my things tomorrow. Wait, please. Mary's shoulders trembled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Eleanor's perfect plan had succeeded brilliantly. James picked up his suitcase. His footsteps toward the entrance tore at Mary's heart. Mother, let's go. Without even looking at his wife one last time, James left the house. Eleanor followed her son with a triumphant expression. Mary, I'm disappointed in you. Eleanor left these icy words as she departed. The sound of the door closing echoed emptily. The scattered dinner ingredients on the floor. The broken pregnancy test. And Mary's collapsing form. Her hand trembled as she reached for her mobile phone. The word "Mom" displayed on the screen. She needed Catherine Brown's gentle voice now. Mom, help me. Her mother's warm voice resonated through the receiver. Mary, I'm coming right away. You're not alone, sweetheart. Catherine Brown's house in the quiet residential area was surrounded by the scent of roses. May sunlight filtered through white lace curtains into the room. Mary, breakfast is ready. At Catherine's voice, Mary slowly opened her eyes. Her old room on the second floor of her childhood home. The high school photos on the wall felt like they were from a distant past. Morning sickness was still strong. Yet, the smell of her mother's breakfast helped calm her nerves. 12 weeks pregnant. The tiny life inside her was growing steadily. Mom, pancakes again. This has always been your comfort food since you were little, hasn't it? With plenty of maple syrup. Catherine gently stroked her daughter's hair. The warmth of that touch brought tears to Mary's eyes. Since returning home, she felt embarrassed at how easily she cried over such small things. I'm sorry, must be the hormones. It's okay. Cry when you need to. The baby understands mommy's feelings too. The breakfast table was set with a nutritionally balanced meal. Catherine had worked as an elementary school teacher for 35 years. That experience showed in her thoughtful attention to detail now. You have a hospital appointment today. Yes. Sarah recommended my new doctor. Sarah Murphy. Mary's best friend and fellow physician. She was raising her 4-year-old son alone while working as a pediatrician. Having experienced her husband's betrayal, she understood Mary's situation better than anyone. "Take this with you when you go." Catherine held out a hand-knitted shawl. "Your grandmother made this when I was pregnant. I'm sure it will bring you warm feelings too." In the hallway of Greenwich Hospital, Mary felt the stares of her former colleagues pierce through her. "Oh, Dr. Wilson. It's been a while." Head nurse Jones approached her. Her gaze mixed with sympathy and curiosity. "You look well." "And Dr. James?" Before Mary could struggle for an answer, Sarah stepped between them. "Mrs. Jones, we have an appointment. Please excuse us." Once in the examination room, Sarah sighed. "The gossip in this hospital, I swear. I'm so sorry." "It's okay. I'm used to it." Saying this, Mary lay down on the examination table. The cold ultrasound gel spread across her stomach. A tiny life appeared on the monitor. Strong heartbeats echoed through the room. "Development is progressing well," Sarah smiled. "Looks like a strong one." Eleanor's letter arrived that afternoon. Written on expensive stationery, it contained her usual sharp sarcasm. To Mary. "Your choice has left a deep wound in the Wilson family. James is deeply hurt. If you claim this is all true, why not take a DNA test? Or is there something you're hiding? I appeal to your conscience. Eleanor Wilson." When she finished reading the letter, Mary's hands weren't shaking. Rather, a strong determination had sprouted in her chest. "I haven't done anything wrong." That night, Mary began writing a diary. A message to her unborn child. "To my beloved child. You are proof of love. Someday, the truth will surely come to light. Until then, Mommy will stay strong. Because you are here." Mary's belly grew day by day. The mothers of her pediatric patients spoke to her kindly. Perhaps they saw something of themselves in Mary, who had decided to become a single mother. "Is the baby growing well?" "Yes, very well." Mary answered with a natural smile. She no longer felt hurt by the sympathy and speculation of others. Sarah remained a strong ally as always. "It was tough for me at first too. But look, Tommy has grown into such a wonderful boy now." Her words carried conviction. Tommy, her 4-year-old son, had grown into a bright and energetic child. Even without a father, children grow up healthy with love. One day, she passed James in the hospital corridor. He stopped for a moment, staring at Mary's growing belly. Complex emotions floated in his eyes. "Mary." But his words were cut short. Eleanor took her son's arm, throwing a cold glance at Mary. "James, isn't it time for your surgery?" After they left, Mary let out a deep sigh. James's heart was still controlled by his mother. "Are you okay?" Sarah's voice came from behind. "Yes. If anything, I feel lighter." It was true. She no longer had any attachment to her former husband's figure. Only when thinking about the child to come did she feel complicated emotions. How should she explain about the father's existence? As the due date approached, Catherine's preparations accelerated. I've decided to put the baby's crib next to my room. That way I can rush over immediately, even in the middle of the night." Mary's heart filled with gratitude for her mother's devoted support. Returning home had not been a mistake. "Mom, thank you." "What are you saying? We're family, aren't we?" At those words, Mary renewed her determination to protect her child. The bonds of true family are more precious than blood ties, because they're born from love. As the end of the year approached, preparations for the birth were complete at the hospital. "Mary, what about your birth plan?" Sarah asked. "I want you and Mom to be there with me." "Of course." Sarah hugged her friend. "We'll be there to witness this wonderful moment." At night, sitting by the window stroking her belly, Mary reflected. In this past year, how much she had lost, and how much she had gained. The surface happiness had crumbled away. But from beneath it, real strength had begun to sprout. A few days later, she found an unfamiliar envelope among the mail at the entrance. The sender was Eleanor's primary physician. Why would he? Mary's hand trembled slightly as she opened the seal. The moment she read the letter, the blood drained from her face. It was the prologue to All Truths Being Revealed. May 2024, in the VIP ward of Greenwich Hospital. Through the window of the luxurious suite, new green leaves sparkled brightly. Eleanor Wilson, lying in bed, had lost her former dignity. Terminal pancreatic cancer. Dr. Anderson's words hung heavily in the hospital room. James gripped his mother's emaciated hand. "How long?" 3 months at most. Eleanor smiled faintly with her eyes closed. "James, I need to tell you something." Her voice was weak, but hadn't lost its usual refinement. "Mother, don't strain yourself." "No, I must speak now." Eleanor opened her eyes. "It's time to confess my sins." James furrowed his brow. His mother's confession would greatly shake his life. "I'm sorry, James, it was all my lies." "What was a lie?" "I wasn't infertile." "There's nothing wrong with you either." Tears fell from Eleanor's eyes. "I just wanted you all to myself." The air in the hospital room froze at the shocking confession. "I've always sought perfection too much. After your father passed away, my world became only you," Eleanor continued. "I couldn't bear Mary taking your heart away." James's hands trembled. Why such lies?" "My love was distorted. I convinced myself that controlling you was loving you." Eleanor struggled to catch her breath. "And when I learned of Mary's pregnancy, I did something unforgivable." The flashback goes to a year ago. Eleanor had illegally obtained Mary's hospital records. Learning of the success of the fertility treatment, she crafted her plan. The lie about genetic infertility. It was a perfect trap. "What a fool I've been." James stood up. "Doubting Mary, denying that child, my child." Speaking as her primary physician, Dr. Anderson spoke up. There were absolutely no medical issues with either Mr. Wilson or the child. At that moment, James's mobile phone rang. It was Sarah Murphy. "Dr. Wilson, Mary's been brought in with labor pains." His heart raced. Now, the two most important choices of his life lay before him. James, Eleanor called out. Go. Stop throwing your life away for me. Her son gently kissed his mother's forehead. I'll be back. James stood frozen in front of the delivery room. He could hear Mary's voice from inside. Doctor, Catherine approached. His former mother-in-law's eyes were filled with sadness and anger. I know I don't deserve to apologize, James bowed deeply. But please, please let me see them. Our child. Catherine stared at him for a long time. I'll ask Mary. The delivery room door opened. Sarah poked her head out. Mary, James is here. Do you want to see him? A newborn's cry rang out. A strong cry of new life. Mary, with sweat on her face, nodded slightly. It's a girl. A tiny life slept in Mary's arms. James touched the small cheek with trembling hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Emotions too deep for words welled up. I know, Mary said. I heard everything from Eleanor's doctor. Mother told me the whole truth. I was such a fool. I'm not blaming you, Mary said, looking at the baby. What matters is what we do from here. Please, let me start over, James's voice trembled. This time, as a real family. Mary remained silent for a while. Then, slowly, she held out the baby. Would you like to hold her? She's your daughter. As he lifted his child with trembling hands, large tears fell from James's eyes. Emily, Mary said. I named her Emily, after your mother's middle name. Emily. James repeated his daughter's name. It's perfect. When James returned to the hospital room, he showed his mother the photo. This is Emily. Your granddaughter. Eleanor looked at the photo and cried quietly. Though I don't deserve it, could I meet her? That wish was granted a few days later. Mary brought the baby to Eleanor's hospital room. I'm sorry, Mary, Eleanor's voice was no longer intimidating. I sought perfection too much and destroyed something precious. Eleanor, Mary said quietly. I wanted Emily to see her grandmother's face. From that day on, Eleanor declined rapidly. But her expression held a peaceful serenity. They say she kept her granddaughter's photo by her pillow until the end. Truth sometimes brings pain. But through that pain, people truly grow. Eleanor's confession marked the end of a distorted love and the beginning of a new family. Mary and James's fresh start wasn't easy. But Emily's smile continued to give them hope. In June 2024, early summer sunlight gently illuminated the hospital room. Eleanor Wilson was approaching her final moments. Emily. Eleanor called her granddaughter's name in a faint voice. By the bedside, Mary sat holding the baby. James held his mother's hand, and Catherine watched quietly. I'm truly sorry. Eleanor's voice no longer held its former edge. But at the end, to be surrounded by everyone like this. Mother, James choked up. It's all right now. Please rest peacefully. Eleanor smiled and closed her eyes. Her expression showed the serenity of someone finally freed from a long-carried burden. When the heart monitor flatlined, silence filled the room. Rest in peace." Mary offered a quiet prayer. No hatred or anger remained. Only thoughts about life's mysterious ways. A month later, the Wilson family purchased a new house. Not in Greenwich's upscale neighborhood, but in a warmer suburban area. In the garden, roses were planted at Mary's request. "Let's make new memories here," Mary said on moving day. In one corner of the living room, Eleanor's memorial photo was displayed. Next to it, a picture of Emily meeting Eleanor. They had truly spent those final days as a family. Catherine came to see her granddaughter every weekend. "Mary, I'll watch her today, so why don't you two go out for a while?" Taking advantage of those words, Mary and James occasionally enjoyed dates. Rebuilding relationships starts with small accumulations. "I was wrong back then," James confessed one day. "How distorted my dependence on Mother was. But thanks to Emily, I think I understand what true parent-child bonds are." Mary smiled gently. "I'm sure we'll face all sorts of things going forward. But don't run away anymore, okay? I promise." James gripped his wife's hand tightly. Emily's first birthday. A small party was held in the garden. Sarah and her son Tommy, Catherine, and hospital colleagues. Surrounded by warm smiles, Emily laughed happily. "Thank you all." Mary spoke words of gratitude before blowing out the birthday candles. "This year has been full of various challenges. But thanks to all of you, we've made it this far." During the party, Mary started feeling a bit unwell. "Are you okay?" James asked worriedly. "Yes, actually," Mary said somewhat shyly. "I took a test this morning." "You don't mean?" Mary nodded slightly. "Yes, I think we've been blessed again." This time, they could truly rejoice together. Emily would become a big sister. At dusk, they took family photos. Emily in the middle, Mary and James close together. Catherine joined them, creating a picture full of warm smiles. That photo would be displayed next to Eleanor's memorial picture. Not denying the past, but accepting it and moving forward. That was the path this family had chosen. "You know," Mary said, gazing at the roses in the garden. "Life is like these roses. They have thorns, but that's what makes them bloom so beautifully." An early autumn breeze gently swept through the garden. James tenderly stroked Mary's belly, now carrying their new life. Emily smiled happily in Catherine's arms. There's no such thing as a perfect family. But here was a family that could care for each other and forgive one another. Eleanor's final words. "Seeking perfection too much, I lost sight of what was truly precious." With that lesson in their hearts, the Wilson family's new story continues quietly but surely. In the sky, the sunset spread beautifully, as if gently illuminating hope for tomorrow.